Chapter 5, Lesson 4, we are down to converting rates. This is about mid-chapter, mid-unit, so next week we'll get into the sort of the end of the unit, and let's get started. So at the top here, I've included a bunch of different charts that I found in the book, on the back of notebooks, and on the internet. So I just copied them and pasted them here. Let's take a look at each one and figure out when to use them. This first one right here is from the book. It's measurement conversions. And you have length, capacity, and mass or weight. Capacity is like liquid, holding how much of an item a thing can hold. Weight or mass would be just what it is. It's the weight. And then length is length. All right. So on this first chart here, it says customary to metric. And then over here it says metric to customary. Now, customary means United States type measurements that we use here in this country, like inches, feet, yards, miles. We have ounces, quarts, and gallons, pints. Then we have ounces and pounds. Now, most of the world uses the metric system. And if you want to go from the US system to the metric system, you go customary to metric. However, if you want to go metric back to customary, you use this one. Now, each one of these has this little approximation sign right in the middle of it. That means that is only estimated that that is the amount. Let's move over to this US customary units. This is only the customary ones. You have length, weight, capacity, and now we also have time. Time is in every country, of course. When you work with time, use this chart right here. Some of you might have some different things, like most people aren't aware that there are 52 weeks in a year. It's not exact, but it's what closest we have. Most people know that there's 12 months in a year, but some don't. 365 days in a year, so that's what we use. That's what we use. We don't worry about leap year when we're calculating things like that. The metrics conversion chart right down here, this gives you kind of a step thing. And so you have your basic unit here, and you have 3 basic units. You have for meters, for length, and then you have liters for capacity, and then you have grams for weight. So let's write that over here just so you know. Length is meters. Capacity is liters. And weight is grams. All right, so that's your basic units on the metrics chart. And this is built as steps. So as you go down, you're going to get smaller. So you have a meter, you have a decimeter, a centimeter, and a millimeter. Millimeters are 0.001 thousandths of a meter. So you need 1,000 millimeters to make one basic meter. And if you go in the other direction, you have decameters, hectometers, and kilometers. And right here, in these little spots right here, you might need to blow up the screen so you can read it. It says to convert to a smaller unit, move decimal point to the right or multiply. So if you want to go this way, you move it to the right to convert to a smaller unit. And if you want to move it this way, you move it to the left to convert to a larger unit. All right, so let's go and look at this last one right here, this table right here. This gives you even farther metric, liter, meter, or gram type things. So here's your basic unit. We've already talked about that. And then after the kilo, see this kilometer? There's kilo. So we skip 2 of them. We go to megameter, gigameter, and terameter, and it probably just keeps on going. Look how large these numbers are. That is 1 trillion. And if we can go the opposite direction, you have millimeter, micrometer, nanometer, and picometer. How small that one is. Super, super small. All right, so you don't have to memorize these charts. They're always available on the internet. They're probably in, well, I usually say notebook, but I don't know if a lot of you have a notebook this year because you're at home. So let's get into example 1 and see how this all operates. What animal swims at 25 miles per hour? That's our rate, but finds it easier to toboggan on land. So it is a penguin, if you did not know. And let's take a look at this. How does this work? Well, 25 miles per hour. We wrote right here 25 miles per, here's the line in the middle, that's the per hour. And we want to go ahead and change that into feet per second because we don't really understand what miles per hour is, but we can understand what feet per second is as far as running because we don't want to run a mile or we don't want to run 25 miles in 1 hour to try to figure out what that speed looks like. So we're going to change miles per hour into feet per second. So here we go. First, we concentrate on the top number. You don't have to, but that's what I do. Miles and miles are now going to be, oops, I misspoke there. Let me go back. Let me concentrate on the time, the bottom one. Okay, so hours, we're going to need, if we're going to change hours into seconds, we need to go through a system. Hours to minutes, minutes to seconds, and seconds, oh, we're there. That's what we want. And now let's do the top one. Miles to feet. All right, so this one here, you're going to go 1 hour is going to be just like 60 minutes, and 60 minutes is the same as 1 hour. If you look closely at this, 1 hour is 60 minutes, and so what is this number? It's really the number 1. So anything you multiply by 1 is the identity property, so you know you're going to get a nice equivalent rate at the end. So we have another one here. We go from minutes to seconds. In seconds, 60 seconds is equal to 1 minute, so that's another number 1. And then we looked up at the chart up above, and we found out that 5,280 feet is the same exact length as 1 mile. And so this is another number 1. And so you can see that we're multiplying by 1, by 1, by 1. So we're not going to mess anything up. Now, the next thing you want to look for before you begin multiplying is you want to see what you can cross out. So remember cross canceling? Well, we're going to look for words to cross cancel. Hours here and hours here, so we can cross that out. Now, you can only do a top and a bottom crossed out. You can't do any more than that, just one at a time. Minutes on the bottom and minutes on top. Seconds are on the bottom, but there are no seconds on top here, so leave seconds alone. Let's go to miles. Miles on top and miles on the bottom. And there's feet on top, but no feet on the bottom. So what do we have left over here in words? We have feet over seconds, and that's exactly what we're looking for, feet per second. So we know we have it set up right, and all we have to do is multiply straight across. 25 times 1 times 1 times 5,280 is 132,000 over 3,600. Okay, so we just put this in our calculators, 132,000 divided by 3,600, and we get a decimal, and we're going to say it's approximately equal to 36.7 feet per second. So we brought this down to a unit rate. All right, so now we can understand how fast a penguin moves. Somewhere in your house you have 36 feet, and you can imagine a penguin going from the beginning of that 36.7 feet to the end in 1 second. It's pretty quick. Let's try it again. How fast does a snail move? If you're in the classroom, I would ask you to ask Google, and people would go on Google, and you would find out. Many times Google will tell you it is 0.029 miles per hour. Well, again, we don't understand how slow that is. We know snails are slow, but we don't get it. So what do we get with a snail? Well, we know that they travel an inch at least, and I wonder how many inches that they travel in 1 second. So let's change our miles per hour into inches per second. So what we'll do is we'll go up here and start filling this in. 0.029 and 1 hour. And now I want to work on my bottom row, my hours, and I want to change that into what? Seconds. Let's go through the process. Hours can be changed into seconds immediately. Well, how can we skip minutes, you might say? Well, if you can skip anything, it makes it a lot easier. Now let's work on our miles. Miles can be changed into feet, and feet can be changed into inches, and I think we have it. All right, so let's take a look at what we can do here. All right. So our first discovery is we need to make this happen. Well, 1 hour is equal to 1 hour over how many seconds? How many seconds are in 1 hour? Well, we know that there are 60 seconds in a minute and there are 60 minutes in an hour. So if we multiply these two together, we get 3,600. So there are 3,600 seconds in 1 hour. Now see how we skipped over the minutes? Because we did a little extra math there, which actually makes it shorter for us. Let's go on to the next one. We're going to go miles to feet. So in 1 mile, there are 5,280 feet. Now where do I get that from? Remember, I go right up to the top, and I look right over here to length, and I look down here, and I find it. So go always back to these charts and look for what you need. So then I'm going to go on to feet and inches. In 1 foot, there are 12 inches. Now, have I found everything I needed? Well, I like to go through the process of crossing words out. Hours to hours, that's gone. Miles up here, miles down here, that's gone. And then I have feet on top and feet on the bottom, that's gone. Well, what do I have left over? I have inches on top, seconds on the bottom. Exactly what I'm looking for. So at this point, it becomes very simple. You take your calculator and you multiply all of these together, and you're going to get 1,837.44. And on the bottom, you're going to multiply all these together, and you're going to get 3,600. Now, all you have to do is change it into a unit rate. And remember how to do that from our last lesson. You just take the top number and divide it by the bottom number on your calculator, and you're going to get approximately 0.1 or 0.5104. We're going to round to the nearest tenths place. We'll look at this 1, and that keeps it at 5/10 or half an inch per second. Now, think about that. A snail can go a half inch in 1 second. Doesn't that seem a lot faster than you thought that they travel at? But that's what they do. Unless you're watching the show Turbo, he's pretty quick. Let's try it again with example 3. This example 3 is coming from the grocery store conversions. Liters to gallons, 3 2-liter bottles of soda, 2 gallons. You know, oftentimes I think that a 2-liter bottle of soda is equal to a gallon. It's definitely not. Let's check this out. So first of all, we want to change 3 2-liter bottles of soda to gallons. So how many, the B stands for bottles, we have 3 of these. 3 of them. And we'll put a 1 just to make it into a fraction, okay? And we want to change those in. No, we're not changing yet, we're just working some things out here. 3 bottles, and how many liters are in 1 bottle? It's 2 liters in 1 bottle. All right, well, we have some matching. We have bottles and bottles, so that's done. So now you can see we're changing it into liters. So 3 times 2 is 6 liters. Doesn't that make sense? 3 2-liter bottles is 6 liters. Sure does. Now we're ready to start. We want to change this into gallons. All right, so we want to change liters into gallons. All right, well, we need to go up to our charts and look for this right here, gallons to liters. So let's go all the way up. And you can see right here in the capacity range, you can see 1 gallon. We'll use this one right here. 1 gallon is approximately equal to 3.785 liters. So we go down. And we say 1 gallon is approximately equal to 3.785 liters. And now let's check, see if our words cross out liters, and all we have left is gallons, and that's what we're looking for. So we have everything we need. Let's multiply the top now. So remember, it starts from here and goes to here. Should do it like this probably. 6 times 1 is 6, and 1 times 3.785 is 3.785. Now you use your calculator and you bring it to a unit rate. 6 divided by 3.785 is going to give you approximately 1.5852, and your calculator is going to round it itself. So let's look to the nearest tenth. This 8 is going to make that 5 go up to a 6, so we're going to call this approximately 1.6 gallons. That's a lot less than I thought it was in gallons. Example 4, what is your classroom heart rate for a year? Check your pulse. Beats per minute. Let's go ahead and do this one, and I think that we will skip down after example 4 down to the examples of the odds, and then we'll get going from there. All right, example 4, what is your classroom heart rate for a year? So we can't say classroom, it is in quotes, but we can say your house. Your house heart rate for a year. Check your pulse. Now, you may need to pause the video and do this. You need a clock with the second hand or some way to measure something with seconds. So what I'd like you to do is to get in a comfortable position, find your pulse. It's either on your wrist, on the side of your neck, or maybe you know of another place to find your pulse. Your pulse is your heartbeat. You need to be able to feel it pretty good so you can keep track of what's going on. You'll start your timer, and as soon as you start your timer, you start counting how many beats your heart beats in 30 seconds. Now, once you've done it in 30 seconds, you can do it a couple times just to make sure, and then once you have that, go ahead and unpause the video and come back here and put your math down. Okay, hopefully you found that your heart is beating. That's a joke. All right, so we're going to go down here and we're going to go beats. Start this up. Beats per second. So that's what we just did. All right, so I counted mine. I have 29 beats per 30 seconds. Okay, now you're going to use this. It's going to go really long all the way down to the end, so don't get real big. I'm already starting to write too big, so I'm going to start writing a little smaller. All right, so I'm going to change this into minutes. So I can multiply this by seconds. It needs to be changed into minutes. So here I go. 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. So now you're not going to have the same numbers. I'm multiplying the top 29 times 60, and I got 1,740 beats per 30 minutes. Okay, and remember, I crossed out the words. I didn't do it. I'm going to get beats over minutes. That's good. I have beats over minutes now. Now I'm going to continue on because I want to know how many beats in a year. So I need to get down to way to the end and write this down. I am looking for beats per year. All right, so let's get into this here. I need to change my minutes into years. So I'm going to go through a process. Minutes are going to be changed into hours. Oops, I did not give myself room there. And then hours are going to be changed into days. And then days are going to be changed into years. And then I'm going to have my answer, I think, because I already have beats on top and I want beats up here. So there's not going to be any changing of the top. All right, so let's go ahead and start working on this. So I have minutes over hours here. And so because I'm changing my minutes into hours, and I have 1 hour, that's 60 minutes. And I have 1 day, and that's 24 hours are in 1 day. And I have 1 year, and there are 365 days in a year. Let's find out if I have everything I need to change it into beats per year. So I have minutes, and minutes, hours and hours, days and days. That looks pretty good because I have beats left over and years here. So bring out the calculator and multiply all this stuff together. Remember, yours is probably not going to be exactly the same as mine. All right, so let's multiply mine. When I multiply all these top numbers right here, I get 30,484,800 beats in 1 year. And that's my unit rate. It's 30,484,800 beats per year. Now, it doesn't include exercise or when your heart rate goes slower or faster, but it gives you an idea. All right, so this would be number 5 would be how fast, does the average tricycle rider do in miles per hour? We would actually, I have a tricycle in the classroom. We would take it outside and we would do an activity with tricycles on campus. Can't really do that, I don't think, on the internet, but we'll just keep on moving down here. We'll go all the way down to the end. And we're going to get started on the odd problems. Complete each conversion, round to the nearest hundredth. Okay, well, we have been rounding to the nearest tenth, so that's a little different. And so we want to change 4 pints into liters. Now, we need the information from way back at the top. We need to go from pints to liters. Let's see if we can find something to use. Pints to liters. Here's pints to liters. Let's use that one. 1 pint is approximately equal to 0.473. We want to change pints into liters. Now it's 0.473, and that was approximately equal to 1 pint. Now, before you get started, because you can get these twisted up, you want to check the words. Pint and pint are opposite like that. They cross cancel. What do we have left over? Just a liter. So we know we're going in the right direction. Then you put your equal sign, and then your calculator comes out and goes 4 times 0.473. And here comes my calculator. 4 times 0.473 is equal to 1.892 liters. And I should keep the approximation sign going. Not that bad, right? Let's try number 3, way over here. Wait a minute. Round to the nearest hundredth. Did not do that. Hundredth's right here. Okay, look at the 2. The 9 is going to stay. The official answer is a 1.89 liters. Okay, on your forms, you're just going to write the number. Do not label it, just put 1.89. All right, let's go into number 3 here, and we're going to change yards into meters. All right, so 5 yards is going to be equal to how many meters? Well, hopefully the chart will give us yards to meters. Let's go see if it does. And here we are, length, yards to meters. Yards to meters, and it does. It's 0.914. 0.1, was it 914? Oh no, now I can't remember. I gotta go check. Okay. 0.914. Okay. Got it right. Almost did it wrong. 0.914. That's a 1. It's 1 yard. Okay, so let's check with our words. Yards and yards cross out, and all I have left is meters, and that's what I want. So the calculator comes back out, and I do 5 times 0.914, and I get approximately equal to 4.57. Let me type that again. 5 times 0.914. Yep, that's what I'm getting. And that's to the 100th already, so that's my answer right here. What am I going to put into the form? I'm just going to put this number, not the meter sign. All right, number 5. We're going to go from meters to yards. Now we're going the opposite direction. We're going metric back to customary. So we'll set it up like this, 1,500 meters over 1 times, and we want to hopefully change meters into yards. We're hoping it has it up there, so let's go look. It's a little bit different than we did because it's going in the opposite direction now. So we want to go meters to yards, and it has it. Meters to yards. 1 meter is equal to 1.094. See if I can remember that. 1.094. 1.094 is equal to 1 meter. So let's check this out. Meters are gone. Yards is what I have left over, so I'm on the right track. So my calculator comes out, and I do 1,500 times 1.094, and I get approximately 1,641 yards. This is the answer. This is what you type into the Google form if the odds were there. All right, number 7. Kilometers to yards. Let's go check to see if we have a kilometers to yards. That's metric to customary. Metric to customary. Kilometers. We don't. We have kilometers to miles. So we can change kilometers into miles, and then we can come over here, and then we can do miles into yards because we have miles and yards right here. So we're going to have to do 2 steps on this one. All right, so let's go set it up. I'm going to have to go up and down, because I'm not going to be able to remember these numbers. So the first one is kilometers. We'll change them into miles, so that's 0.621. Let's remember that. 0.621. So 4 kilometers. I'm going to change that into miles. And 1 kilometer is equal to 0.621. Did I remember it right? I'm pretty sure I did. Okay, and then we want to change our miles into yards. And I do remember this. 1 mile is equal to 1,760 yards. Now let's check our words here. Kilometers are gone, that's good. And then miles are now gone, that's good. And the thing that we have left over is yards. So it looks like we have everything right in the right spot. And so then we'll just use our calculator. Type in 4 times 0.621 times 1,760. And we're going to get approximately 4,371.84 yards. This is the answer. This is what you would type in. And finally, number 9, we're going to go from fluid ounces to milliliters. Let's see if we get lucky and we can do a 1-step here. Ounces to milliliters. Capacity, ounces to milliliters. Yes, there's only 1 to remember, but this is a long number for Mr. Coco to remember all the way down there. So 29 and 574 thousandths. 29.574. .574. Had to write it down quick. But what was that? Was that milliliters or ounces? See, I can't remember. So I'll have to go back up. This is fluid ounces over 1. And I think that's milliliters. And this is fluid ounces here. I got to check. I don't remember. You guys probably all do remember. You guys got young minds. So, yep, milliliters. Okay. You guys are probably getting dizzy. All right, so it's all set up, and we know it's set up because our fluid ounces cancel out. Now we just multiply 35 times 29.574, and that equals approximately milliliters. Good. All right, and the last, oh, I got 2 to go here. All right, a new energy efficient automobile can travel 34.4 miles on 1 gallon of gasoline. At this rate, how many feet per quart does the car average? Okay, so we set this up. This says 34.4 miles on 1 gallon. All right, so that's 34.4 miles on 1 gallon. And then it says we want to change that into feet per quart. So way down here, we want feet per quart. All right, so I like working on the bottom one first. So we're going to change gallons into quarts. I'm not super familiar. Actually, I am familiar with that. So let's go ahead and start. First, I'll change gallons into quarts immediately. I know that in 1 gallon, there are 4 quarts because quart is like quarters, and there are 4 quarters in $1. So that's why I need that one so quickly. I think you guys learned those in elementary school. All right, so that gets us to quarts. But now we got to change miles into feet. Well, that's not so bad either. We can go directly from miles to feet if we have it memorized, or you can go back at the top. I have it memorized. In 1 mile, there are 5,280 feet. Now let's check to see if we got everything here. Gallons are out, miles are out, and what's left over? Feet and quarts, and that's exactly what we want. So it was a lot faster than I thought it would be. So let's go ahead and go down here and multiply the top. That's going to be 34.4 times 5,280. And that's giving us 181,632 over 1 times 4 times 1 is 4. So then we'll make this into a unit rate. And it's going to be 45,408 over 1. And so our answer is 45,408 feet per quart. And again, on Google Forms, you would only put this number down, don't put the labeling. And the last one, oh, that's not the last one. I got 2 more to go. Sorry about that. Number 13, convert 60 miles per hour to feet per minute. Okay, that's 60 miles in 1 hour, and we're going to convert it feet per minute. Way down here, feet per minute. We'll work on the bottom one first, hours to minutes. Hours to minutes. And minutes are equal to 1 hour. 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. That's done. Now we got to go miles into feet. So that's going to be 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. I think we're set. We'll check the words. Hours and hours. miles and miles, and all we have left over is feet over minutes. We are on our way to the right solution. So now we're going to multiply the top, 60 times 5,280. And the bottom is 60. We're going to change this into a unit rate. And that is right back to 5,280 feet per minute. Number 15, convert 20 miles per gallon to kilometers per liter. Now, this is going to be a little bit more tense because we're going from customary to metric. So 20 miles per gallon. So we'll set that up, 20 miles per 1 gallon. And we want to get all the way out to kilometers per liter. Kilometers per liter. All right, so let's go ahead and take gallons to liters first. Now, on our chart up above, didn't we have a gallons to liters? We do. Gallons to liters, yes, we do. We'll use this one again. 1 gallon is approximately equal to 3.785. 3.785. One gallon is approximately equal to 3.785. All right, so that takes us to liters. Now let's take our miles into kilometers. Was there something up there, miles to kilometers? Miles. Let's see up here, miles to kilometers. There it is. 1 mile is equal to 1.609. Oh, too far. 1 mile is equal to 6.109. You know, I wish I had a memory that would last longer than a second. Okay, it is 1.6. Oh, wow, I was way off. 1.609. There we go. Let's check to see if we're going to get the right answer. Gallons is out, miles is out, and we have kilometers over liters, and that's exactly what we want. So now let's multiply. So we have 20 times 1.609, 32.18, and on the bottom we have 3.785, and then we're going to make this into a unit rate. So we divide it. And my calculator is going to be 8.501, and it keeps on going, but the direction said round to the nearest hundredth at the very top. So here's our 100th place. This 1 is not going to make that change. So our answer is 8.5, or you could put the 0 there. It doesn't really matter. Kilometers per liter. That's gas mileage in the UK or anywhere else in the world. All right, well, it was a long one, and I'm going to be teaching during the lesson a little bit today because this is, I think it's confusing. I think that you guys are going to have some questions about it. So get ready, get your questions ready.